Hello everyone. I got home from work and I caught up on all the news on the Delphi case today, including the press conference. I was actually Googling the press conference during work because I had a little break where it wasn't busy. So I got on my phone and started Googling the updates and what was happening and the developments. I was so excited to see that Richard Allen was officially charged with 2 counts of murder in the deaths of Abby and Libby, but he's actually pleading not guilty to those charges, which honestly, I'm not surprised by that. But that does mean that we aren't really going to be seeing and getting much information from law enforcement then, because this is going to be going to trial. And because this is going to trial, we probably aren't going to get that much information for a while, probably for a few months, because it usually takes a long time to carry out the proceedings of a trial. Richard Allen's actually not due back into court until January 13th next year, so in 2023, and that is for his pretrial hearing, and then his trial is officially set for March 20th of 2023, so next year. So we're in this one for the long haul. Now, March 20th next year isn't that far along for a trial. We've seen other cases that are really high profile take years to go to trial. So that at least is a little hopeful that we'll know maybe in a few months if the trial doesn't get pushed back at all. So all in all, it seems that not many details came out today. There's honestly not that much to talk about from the press conference itself. I will say, however, that Superintendent Doug Carter, he's also the officer I talked about in yesterday's video, where he said that he suspected the killer was walking among them. But seeing him get on the podium and speak about the case and the developments today, and seeing how he was choking on his words and holding back emotion, it really just said a lot to me. Solving this case is so important to this town and this police force, and I think it clearly shows that he feels deeply in his heart and soul that they have the man, or possibly one of the men, that brutalized these little girls. So that's not the greatest news for me to come back and sit here and tell you all about today. So I did do some digging. I found some more information to tell you about. That's not just me sitting here being like, oh yeah, so nothing really was said at the press conference. So Richard Allen is being charged with 2 counts of murder. We have also been given this very lovely mugshot of Richard Allen that I have on the screen for you right now. He is also thankfully being held without bond. I think that says a lot. I think that means that they have a lot of really strong evidence against him that's really important and probably very severe. But of course, along with him pleading not guilty, he's also refusing to cooperate with the investigation. Not really surprised with that either. And I'm sure he lawyered up really fast and shut his mouth. So we also learned that the family was actually informed of the arrest on Wednesday last week, and that gave them a few days to process everything, which I think was very important for them to be able to process this information. But that does mean that the police did in fact have more information on Richard. It wasn't just they found out on Friday or that specific day and we're like, hey, we're arresting him today. Clearly they've been looking into him for a little while at least. They just weren't saying anything to the public. And if you haven't seen my video that I posted yesterday that covered Richard's arrest, I do recommend going to watch that. But if you did watch it, you would remember how I was talking about how it was downright scary that this man could have been walking among this town, which is a very small town, given I think it's 3,000 people. I seen that number thrown out there. But I mentioned how the thought of the killer walking among this small town, he could have ran into the family members after murdering their child. And I guess I was right. Mike and Becky Patty, who are the grandparents of Libby, ended up speaking to reporters and confirming that they actually had run into Richard Allen at the CVS that he worked at. And apparently they had went there to develop some family photos, and Richard was the one who processed their photos, even though it said he worked in the pharmacy department. Apparently he also worked in other positions there, apparently. But the grandparents went there to pick up these family photos that he had processed, and he ended up not charging them for processing any of the photos. He basically gave it to them on the house. Now that leads me to wonder, did he not charge them because he is actually indeed guilty? And maybe he felt a little bad and he was like, yeah, I'm not gonna, charge the family of the kid I killed. I'm just gonna give him these on the house. Or is he actually innocent and he didn't do it and he just felt bad because he seen this family and he seen what they were going through and he was like, I'll just give them, take it on the house. Don't worry, I don't want you to have any financial issues right now. Although processing photos doesn't cost that much money, but you get what I'm saying. It could kind of go either way. Honestly, of course, Richard Allen is innocent until proven guilty, as anyone else is. But honestly, in my opinion, I don't think the police would have arrested him and then spoken so publicly about his arrest if they weren't sure that he is guilty. The law enforcement in this case has been very thorough, in my opinion, thorougher than a lot of cases that I cover, unfortunately. On top of that, another really eerie photo came out, which is a photo that Richard's wife actually posted on Facebook. And it's a photo of Richard. And in the background of this photo, you can see one of the police sketches of the Delphi suspect, which is just absolutely fucking disgusting and very eerie if he is indeed found guilty. I also have like a million and one questions, as I'm sure you all do. I would really like to know, did his wife suspect anything or know anything? Did he have accomplices in this? I would also like to know what or maybe who led police to looking into him. I've also seen people speculating if he was possibly involved with other suspects in this case, such as Keegan, who's the guy I have on the screen right now. He was one of the suspects in this case that was very thoroughly spoken about, because it also seems like the consensus is that people are questioning if this murder could have been committed by one person. There's two girls, they're 13 and 14 years old. Could one person contain them and then commit whatever disgusting acts may have been put upon them, and then they were both murdered? It's been speculated that the suspect possibly had a gun that he was holding to them to scare them both, but then it makes you question, like, why didn't one of them run off if one of them was being attacked? Like, there's so many questions in this case like that and speculations. It's really made people wonder if there was more than one suspect in this case, that possibly, he was saying guys down the hill. Maybe there was another perpetrator waiting at the bottom of the hill that they were walking towards, that they cornered them with. I don't know. It makes people question if one man could murder two girls like that in the woods. There's also talks of the Anthony Shots catfish account, which I didn't really talk about yesterday at all, but there is this catfish account that apparently the girls were speaking to online. It makes people question, was he operating this account? Did he just have access to this account and there are other people who also had access to this account? Could it be like a pedophile ring of some sort kind of thing where they're all sharing this account talking to young girls? I've seen all of this question, so I actually want to do a poll with all of you. I want you to comment down below if you think that Richard Allen operated alone in this crime, or if you think that there is more than one person involved in this, because it seems like the police are not ruling out other assailants. Law enforcement normally keeps things close to the vest when things are going to trial. They don't just let all the, evidence out. But the fact that they're keeping the tip lines open and they're asking for more information despite saying that they have their suspect, I feel like that truly means that they think there is more than one suspect for sure. Because if they do feel like there's more than one person involved, they can't just release any information, because besides the fact of Richard Allen alone taking them 5 years to arrest him, if there are other perpetrators, this was very sophisticated. Like, they can't just let all this information out and then they're never going to be able to catch another suspect because everything's just out. Letting out all of the nitty-gritty information that everyone wants to know, even like just bigger things that people want to know, like what led them to the arrest of Richard Allen, they won't even say that. So clearly, if another suspect does exist, they're keeping this all close to the vest so that they can catch the other people involved as well. In my opinion, after seeing all of that play out today, I really do think there are other suspects that they're looking for, and they just aren't releasing things right now because they also want to arrest them. On top of that, the fact that they also have a trial date already set for March, I feel that means that they have some really, really solid evidence on Richard Allen, and they are very sure that he is their guy. There's no way, after the police being this thorough and this kind of decisive over the last 5 years trying to catch the proper killer, that they would just arrest this man on like no evidence or nothing very solid. Clearly they have enough evidence towards Richard that they are very sure that they want to go to trial as soon as possible to convict him. And there are a lot of cases and a lot of like law enforcement teams in the world where something big happens like this and they want to just catch the killer very fast, just throw someone in jail just to like end the case, get it over with. But it seems like this is not this kind of law enforcement team, and this is not this case. They're trying to catch the correct people. They're not just trying to throw anyone in jail to close the case, which I think is very respectable. So I'm going to end today's video by quoting Cheryl McCollum, who is a cold case consultant, because I think she really said it well. And she was quoted saying, "I think the integrity of this case and not telling every single thing they know, I think that's powerful. If you start showing your hand, you can mess things up and you can tell too much. The investigation does not stop at arrest. It really just begins. So now is when they're really going to go to work." I think she said that very well. And I think everyone that was upset today not seeing very much information being released, I think we need to really sit and think and understand that clearly law enforcement doesn't think Richard Allen is their only man. And clearly this investigation is a lot bigger than we all expected it to be and that we all think it is. So yeah, comment down below your theories if you think he's the only man or if you think there's more suspects that are going to be arrested hopefully soon in the near future. Of course, I will update you all if more big news comes out. As of right now, this is what we know, which isn't a whole lot, which again is probably for the better. If there are still more things behind the scenes that are happening and, you know, playing out, and hopefully more arrests will be made if there are other suspects that do exist. And yeah, if you enjoy my coverage on this case, I would really appreciate you hitting the subscribe button and giving this video a thumbs up. It does help out my channel and it allows me to be able to tell these stories and spread the words of these cases. So hopefully it can help lead to more arrests and lead to more talk on these cases, especially cases that aren't as talked about as much. This case is really, really big right now, but I do like to cover other cases that are much tinier so that hopefully some of these other cases can also lead to arrests and other victims and families can get justice. So with that, I hope you're all staying safe out there and I hope I see you in the next video. Bye.